Today, I'm going to show you how you can take your ordinary products and make them more marketable by shrink wrapping them. Shrink wrapping your products is a great way to give them a professional look. It's going to help you stand out from your competitors, and it's super cheap and easy to do. And we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Okay, to get started with shrink wrapping your products, you're only going to need 3 different things. The first thing you're going to need is a roll of shrink wrap film. Now, shrink wrap film is fairly cheap. You can buy a roll anywhere from $40 to $60, and they do make different sizes. So depending on the needs of your products, with how big or small they are, you're gonna wanna determine how big or small of a size of a roll of shrink wrap film you'll want. Now, shrink wrap film is very similar to any other type of plastic film, like a saran wrap, like you would use for a food grade product. But the way that this differs is that when you apply heat to it, it shrinks to fit whatever product you're applying that heat to. And in addition, shrink wrap film is actually double-sided. There's 2 sides to it. And what it enables you to do is open it up and take your product and put it inside. So when you do shrink it, that shrink wrap film is going to cling to every side of the product that you're wanting to shrink wrap. Okay, the second tool that you're gonna need is some type of hot air heat source. And you can do that by using like a regular hair dryer, but I prefer to use a tool called a heat gun. And the reason why I like using a heat gun is for a couple of different reasons. First and foremost, normally heat guns come with attachments, and these attachments let you put them on the end of the heat gun. And what this does is it directs the airflow in different ways. You can fine tune it by making the nozzle smaller, or you can take a broader application tool like this wide nose wedge right here. And what this does when you put it on is it distributes the heat more evenly across the surface that you're trying to shrink wrap. Oh, and the other great thing about a heat gun that differs from, like, say, a hair dryer is that most heat guns have a variable thermostat on them to where you can make the air really cool, or if you want it even hotter, you can turn it all the way up to make the heat wrap shrink even quicker. And heat guns like this aren't very expensive. I think I bought this one online for like $20 to $25. So it's good to invest in one of these, especially if you plan on doing a lot of shrink wrapping. Now, the third and final tool that you're gonna need is something called a plastic film sealer. These are also known as impulse sealers. And you can also find this tool very cheap online for around $20 to $25 as well. Now, a plastic film sealer is a lot like a heat gun, meaning that it has an electric heat source. When you plug this in and adjust the thermostat on the knob here on the end, what you're gonna do is your plastic wrap is going to go inside of this area right here. And when you press down, what that enables you to do is melt your plastic film to where you're gonna have a really nice, well-packaged material before you apply the heat from the heat gun. So all 3 of these tools you're going to use together to seal your product. And I'll go ahead and show you how they're used right now. Okay, so we'll start with a simple box product like I have right here. And what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go ahead and take my film and open up the 2 separate sides and slide the product inside of the plastic film, putting it all the way down here at the corner so I'm not wasting any film that I might need for future use. So I'll make sure that I've got it nice and tight. And what I'm gonna do then is slide it over here into my impulse sealer. And when I have it into my impulse sealer, I wanna make sure that the blade right here is all the way up against the edge of the product so that when I press down on the top of this bar, it melts the plastic really close to the product itself. So let's go ahead now and push down on this bar. And once it's done melting, all I have to do is take the other side of the plastic and gently pull it away. So now this bag is sealed on 3 sides, but I wanna make sure that I have a seal all the way around the product. So I'm gonna take the bag and put it back under the impulse sealer and seal it one more time. So as you can see, now I have the product completely encased in the plastic, but it's loose inside of this bag. So now I want to take my heat gun and I want to apply heat to the bag so that it shrinks this plastic all the way around the product. Okay, so now that I have my heat gun, I am ready to turn it on and shrink wrap this product. But before I do, I want to clarify that I like to hold my heat gun about 6 to 8 inches away from the product. If I get too close, I've learned that I run the risk of burning a hole through the plastic or melting it and giving it some sort of deformity. So I found that holding it about 6 to 8 inches away really distributes the heat evenly and gives it a nice, clean look. And when I'm shrink wrapping products, I normally always start on the back side because I found that when you start on the back first. What it does is it pulls that shrink wrap nice and tight around the front, and it gives the front a really good clean look. So let's go ahead and get started with the heat. So there you have it. Now this product is shrink wrapped. All of the shrink wrap is nice and tight on the product, and it's now ready to be displayed or shipped or ready to get to my customer. So now that we're done shrink wrapping this box, I thought I'd take a second and show you how to shrink wrap something that maybe doesn't have as defined of corners or edges. Something like this bottle here where you've got maybe like a weird angle to it. So basically, to get started, the process is pretty much the same. I'm gonna take my product, put it inside of the heat shrink film, getting it close to the edge so I'm not wasting any of the excess material, because I'm gonna wanna use that, of course, for future jobs. But I'll go ahead and put it inside the bag, bring it over here to my impulse sealer, and then bring the impulse sealer down to shrink it inside of the bag, or to make a bag for this product to be inside of it. And once I've got it inside of the shrink wrap, I'm now ready to take my heat gun and apply heat so that this product isn't loose and you know, kind of wiggling around in the bag. I wanna make it shrink and make it nice and tight to make it look presentable, so I'm ready to sell this product. And once again, I'm gonna go ahead and get my heat gun and turn it on and apply heat. And as I'm applying the heat, I wanna make sure that I am moving the heat gun so it's not in one spot too long, so I don't accidentally burn or melt a hole in the plastic shrink wrap, which when you're getting started, it might happen when you're kind of getting the hang of things. But you wanna avoid that, because obviously the more that you burn or the more that you waste, the less shrink wrap you have for future projects. So the best way to make sure that this melts evenly and gives it a nice clean look is to make sure that you're just moving the air the entire time that you are shrink wrapping this product. And there we go. As you can see, I have finished shrink wrapping this styling cream bottle. You know, as you can tell, the more time you take on it, the better your products are gonna look. And of course, this is like a skill like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But yeah, this looks really clean. It looks really professional. And in my opinion, it looks just as good as any product you would see on the shelf of a store. So that's how you shrink wrap a bottle. Okay guys, so there you have it. That's how you shrink wrap products. Now, all three of the products that I showed you in this video, the shrink wrap film, the heat gun, and the impulse sealer, I'll drop a link down in the description of this video. If you're looking to purchase those, you can find them there. But one thing I want to add before I go, the shrink wrap roll, that's probably the most expensive thing on the list to buy. It's about $50, but do remember, when you buy that, there are 500 to 1,000 feet of film, depending on the size of the roll of film that you buy. So that's going to enable you to shrink wrap hundreds upon hundreds of products. And remember, if you shrink wrap your items, you're gonna be able to charge your customers more for your products in the first place. A shrink wrap product sells on average for much more money than a product that is not shrink wrapped. Now, real quick before I go, if you have a question or a comment, maybe something that you're wondering about that I didn't cover in this video, or maybe something you wanna share, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I promise I'll try to do my best to read them and get back to anyone that leaves me a comment. And if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, please consider doing so. I make new content like this all of the time, and all of the content on my channel normally pertains to shipping, making your business better, and selling online, like on eBay or other e-commerce platforms. And lastly, before I go, I want to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new, and until then, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye guys.